I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, what are your thoughts about 2024 in general? Just what do you see in front of us? Anything got you particularly nervous, excited? What do you think about 2024?
Okay, so my predictions for 2024, this is really I I I really shouldn't do predictions because they come back and get me, you
Yeah.
know. But this is something that I really feel that is coming from not from like me guessing, but really coming from their own statements and documents and stuff that is coming not only from the Federal Reserve but the Treasury. At some point in 2024, we are going to run into liquidity crisis,
Mm,
right? I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know exactly how it's going to impact everything, but there's going to be an issue in there. And the reason why I keep bringing this up, right, is because there is articles, not some blogger out there or some YouTuber who's just talking about it, but I'm talking mainstream media, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, Reuters, all these guys had an article that they put out on the same day, practically, or the same week, talking about the Treasury doing bond buybacks in 2024. And it's really the only time you ever hear about it. Was just
mm,
on this one particular day throughout all the mainstream big time like news outlets.
okay.
You can go and you can find this information. There are people who have talked about it. And even just recently, there has been some comments on it through some news articles talking about the Treasury coming back in to buy bonds.
Mm,
Why would they do this? This is like only one time in history or a couple of times in history have they ever bought their own bonds back. This is the
yep.
United States Treasury, which everybody is like only thinks is a one-way street. They issue out debt. They don't buy their own debt back. Like this is not something that is even a concept, even a concept to a lot of people. They don't even know this is even possible, right? But now, if you think about it, if we do run into a liquidity issue coming into 2024, right, and you have the safest, most liquid asset in the entire world having issues, what is that going to do to the economy? It's going to screw it up bad,
Oh yeah.
right? Big time. So now, if there is any kind of issue within the bond market in which this says, man, these bonds are not selling, they are not liquid, the Treasury will step up and buy them, right, and maintain the liquidity within the bond market. They would not be making this statement if they were not preparing for it. If they did not want a general view of people who do recognize this stuff to be informed of it ahead of time, but they do not put it out in the mainstream media because they don't want us knowing about
Mm,
it, right? I mean, you
yeah.
think about it. Why wouldn't they talk about it? I mean, this is a big deal that's going to be hitting us. It's much like the repo facility and them talking about the repo facility before, September of 2019,
Yeah.
right? But when it hits, it's going to be a surprise. And if you prepared yourself for it, then it wouldn't be a surprise. And then they wouldn't be able to combat it the way that they are going to, because people
Got it.
would have prepared themselves for this situation and the liquidity issues would be presenting themselves today. Right. So
Yep.
now that's the major problem with the credible threat theories is that they
Yep.
can't let us know on some of these things that are coming up. But
Yeah.
that's one of them that I see is the liquidity issue coming
Okay.
in 2024 and the Treasury buying their bonds back. Now, again, I don't know exactly what that'll look like. Also coming from the Federal Reserve is something very similar that they had put out statements to all the major banks out there, making sure that their balance sheet was sitting in a position in which that if they had any like withdrawals happening, that their assets that they are holding will not cause their balance sheets to be, so flipped that they end up going out of business or whatever.
Mhm.
So ultimately, they're basically saying, like, look at your assets and where they are right now. And if those things start to fall, whether or not your liabilities are going to be able to make your balance sheet off of that. Otherwise, you need to start adjusting your balance sheet today in order to deal with what's coming in the future. Now, they didn't explain that all out there, but that's kind of what I was reading out of this. So the Federal Reserve is telling the banks to look at their balance sheet and get those things prepared to deal with the liquidity issue. At the same time, the Treasury is making statements about buying their own bonds back. And this information is so quiet in the mainstream media, it just drives me nuts. I try to put the information out there, but I can't find any like news articles or anybody else to really back up this stuff. So I'm kind of left to just like, hey, man, this is my prediction.
There you go. Well, I love the fact what you're doing on your channel. You're authentic. You're educating. You're just reading so much. Where can people find you and follow you?
So Uneducated Economist, if you type that into Google, you're going to find everything on me. I'm pretty much active on YouTube. I have a full-time job, I have a family, I have this going on, and it's really hard to maintain being like on all the other social platforms. But I am on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I have like a TikTok account, so I post shorts and stuff like that on there. So, if you're into like some of the other social medias out there, I pretty much have an account everywhere, but I'm active on YouTube at Uneducated Economist.
Yeah, do yourself a favor, add him, follow him, subscribe to his channel. He is putting out a lot of stuff that is very, very helpful. You do lives, which I think is awesome for the audience. Simon, I appreciate you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I look forward to shaking your hand in Vegas. It should be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
I can't wait to meet you personally, Mike, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
There you go, bud. Take care.